Good morning everyone, except it's not morning, it's afternoon. The weekend's coming and so basically, well it's probably already here for you, but what that means for me is that I have to try and get ahead as much as possible so that I've got the extra time to spend with the family. Speaking of which, I need to make Jasper a sandwich for lunch. And as I consider myself to be an exceptionally good multitasker, that means I am also going to be talking to you about kind of just some EV news that's been standing out to me over the last sort of week, 2 weeks. Burst off the bat, and particularly exciting for us, maybe not. Later in the year, BMW are going to release a sport version of the i3, an i3S. Now I don't know how much sportier that's going to be than a normal i3. Honestly, that is not a slow car off the mark. I think it's something like 7.9 seconds 0 to 60, which makes it the second quickest accelerating EV out there behind the Tesla. I'm obviously excluding things like the Rimac and various other extraordinary and not available to normal people EVs. Need to check the bread's defrosting. Yep, it's more or less getting there. So yeah, it is exciting. It's there. Because it shows that BMW are keen to capitalize on one of the real advantages of EVs, which is that they're fun to drive. The fact that other EV manufacturers are still turning out cars with 11-second 0 to 60s, I think is a real missed opportunity. For the first 10 yards, they're great anyway, even if they do have an 11-second 0 to 60. But 11 seconds is quite slow. When you're at motorway passing speeds, or if you want to try and merge onto the motorway, there can be a little bit, generally speaking, I think a bit more acceleration is just a good idea. Need to get buttering. I have to butter and talk, otherwise poor old Jasper's going to not be very impressed with his daddy with the late lunchtime. Not a reputation I want to be getting. Another piece of interesting news that Ford have increased the battery capacity on the Focus electric to 33.5 kilowatt hours, which is pretty average. In fact, I would say that somewhere between 33 and 35 seems to be the new 24. And it's still not enough. On the upside, bigger ranges are coming. I would say for a low range round city and very, very occasionally a longer journey car, 30 plus kilowatt hours is okay. You're still very reliant on quick charger networks and longer journeys are going to take a while. Right, let's get this sandwich in the toaster for Jasper. Get to the table, Jasper, I'll bring the sandwich over. Been meaning to get this updated for ages. Updating firmware always makes me feel a little nervous. And there's just time for a quick test flight before the sun goes down. Well, that was good fun. Now, what was I saying about EV news? This is actually a decaf. I'm trying to cut down on my caffeine consumption. This is fascinatingly interesting. ChargeMaster, who some of you may know as the installer of home charge points, although they also run rather a large number of charging networks, or maybe it's one charging network. I get confused. It's Polar one moment, ChargeMaster the next. But anyway, these people, they're going to be opening their first, or the first, general EV dealership in the country. It's going in Milton Keynes. It's going to open some point in the spring, I believe. Whether I make it to the opening event or not, I'll drop by and see it. There probably won't be any Teslas there, in all honesty. There's going to be a large array of other EVs that you can test drive from a variety of different manufacturers, and it's quite an interesting concept at any rate. So I'll be interested to see how they've manage to actually implement that. Briefly going back to the new EVs with the 30 plus kilowatt hour battery size, the new e-Golf is going to have a 35 kilowatt hour battery. So there's a substantial jump there. Unfortunately, the car is not massively efficient, so we can't really expect to get more than about 120, 125 miles of range out of it. In the slightly larger batteried form, I can actually see the point in that vehicle, so I might actually try and get myself a test drive in one of those just to sort of see how it feels, how it compares. In the past, I've liked VWs quite a lot as a manufacturer. Admittedly, that was before I realised they were scamming the whole world with their Dieselgate thing. I'd still quite like to have a test drive though, I think. And SK Innovations, which is the battery supplier for, I think it's the Kia Soul EV, if memory serves, are planning on investing billions in a new battery factory. And there's no doubt about it. Battery manufacture is becoming a real boom industry with huge amounts of growth, and it is driven entirely by EVs. You also have the grid storage battery solutions out there, but they're more of a secondary driver. The real driver of this growth, I have no doubt whatsoever, is the fact that auto manufacturers are starting to cotton on to the fact that people will buy EVs, provided they have a decent range and decent recharge capabilities. Pretty good news, because if we can get the industrial might of the car automotive manufacturing industry and its supporting industries, if we can get that investment muscle behind building battery factories, then it will be possible to move pretty much the whole of human civilization over to renewable energy stored in batteries, and obviously then also stored in batteries in things like cars and ultimately even planes. Trains, you usually don't need to store energy in quite the same way, but it's possible. Even boats. I mean, the possibilities are limitless, provided you can get hold of batteries cheaply enough and you've got a good industry that can recycle them when they reach their end of life and manufacture them in the first place, of course. One more thing to throw into the mix, Hyundai is going to have a lifetime warranty on their batteries for both the EVs and the plug-in hybrids. There's a bit of a caveat to this. It only covers failure. It doesn't cover battery degradation. And where this is interesting for me personally is that Tesla does not warrant any level of battery degradation. But at the same time, when you ask owners how their batteries are going, the vast majority of them report very, very little battery degradation. For example, my Tesla Model S has done 63,000 miles and I think it's lost something like 8 miles of range. Sounds about right. I'll have to do the maths, but I have a feeling it's around 8 miles, which out of 242 is a drop in the ocean. It's tiny, it's like 5%. That degradation might speed up, but from what I've heard, it shouldn't do, in which case I ought to be able to drive this car for an absolutely humongous amount of miles. At the same time, you have Nissan, who warrant their batteries for, I think, something like, is it 9 bars or approximately 70%? Although they give you a battery degradation guarantee in their warranty, the reality is they actually do have batteries that have lost 30, 40%, 50% over the lifetime of the vehicle. So, kind of, food for thought there. The Gigafactory in Reno, Nevada is adding between 150 and 200 employees a month. So that shows you how quickly Tesla is ramping up at that site. Plus, they've also got quite a lot of building that they've still got to do on that factory. So it is going to be truly enormous. Oh my word, I almost forgot. According to the Tesla shareholder letter, there's the potential for another 3 gigafactories, although it doesn't say whether those are going to be solar or battery gigafactories, but either way, that's a lot of additional production capacities. So it's not just SKI that's going to be investing in more additional battery capacity. Tesla stroke Panasonic, they will be too. And of course, I mean, basically everybody is building more and more battery factories. And honestly, I couldn't be happier about it. I'm going to crack on with some editing actually, try and get ahead a bit. So I hope you've all enjoyed today's vlog post. If you have, remember to like it, share it and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you tomorrow for the next installment of my daily vlog. Bye. Alrighty. That's what I love about this tripod. So quick and easy to set up. Fantastic. Right, I've got to put my video live first actually.